welcome back to Credit Table. I'm Saban, and today I have a little bit of a surprise for you. And before any of you say anything, yes, indeed, I'm not drawing Gillian Anderson this week. Okay, so I know, what a shocker. But I do want to draw somebody kind of that's I have a little bit of a mixed feelings toward. Um, we're drawing Princess Diana. Or rather, I'm going to teach you how to make, a background that pops using Princess Diana as the subject of this drawing. So, right, right here we have two copies of the same drawing. Um, and for this copy, this is going to be the copy where we're going to use a different kind of background. Something just fell. I'm sorry if you heard that. And yeah, we're essentially going to experiment with two different types of backgrounds. And one of the backgrounds will utilize a very even level of darkness, whereas uh, on the other side of this equation, we'll be using some of the most egregious level of darkness, but one that I think is going to aid in um, in making sure that the drawings kind of pop. And that's one of the main things about drawing portraits is that how much of the subject you want to make sure pops out. You know, because it's not always one to it's not always a straightforward thing. Sometimes you want the background to be pure black, sometimes you want the background to kind of imitate bokeh. It's its own level of like insanity. So yeah, I'm going into this essentially with two different types of uh, backgrounds in mind. The really the gray background and the backgrounds with multiple levels of like contrasts. The more I talk about it, the less clear the vision is going to get. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and start with this. Alright, so for this drawing right here, I've completed some parts of this woman. Wait, I don't think I've really completed it. This is based on a Princess Diana drawing that I've done a few months ago, I think. And it's perhaps one of the most harrowing drawings I've ever done. Not because it's difficult, but because it's emotionally difficult. This, um, as many of you might know, I don't care about the royal family. The only reason why I watch The Crown is because Gillian Anderson is in it, and she's Margaret Thatcher. And here's a funny thing that I noticed about Margaret Thatcher. Some of the biggest, some of her more famous appearances in pop culture, yeah, she was actually portrayed by two Americans. So it's kind of a weird thing to think about. But yeah, it's weird to think that, you know, the actors who portrayed her in movies and TV are from America. Gillian Anderson and Meryl Streep. But hey, we're not talking about uh, about Thatcher. We're talking about Princess Diana. So, yay. Okay, so I set up the aspect ratio here, right here. It's really, I've said this many times before, but you have to set an aspect ratio, otherwise you're definitely going to overwork yourself with adding details that you simply don't need, or it simply doesn't exist in the reference photo. Speaking of reference photos, to I'm going to attach it in the this video description, and as well as, you know, the comment section below. So if you want to download the schematics, you can go ahead and do that. And if you want to look at the reference photo, I'm going to provide it in the comment section below. So if you're currently watching this at home, I hope you're joining in on the fun. Man. Even though it might seem like I'm putting you people into the thick of a war, it's actually not. It's actually just essentially, if you follow with whatever it is I'm doing, um, you might have a bit of an easier time. Whereas if you keep thinking about, okay, what is it? What is it that I'm doing? What is it that I'm going to have to like adhere to? Then you will have a rather miserable time. Why do I look at it? It's so different. Why did I? Why did I have to put the top mark here? It's pretty much the same. It's all the same. Just use the same aspect ratio. Okay, so in order for you to join in on the fun, you're going to need um, a pencil, a mechanical pencil, or any sort of pencil you have at your disposal. If it's 2B, if it's at the 2B resolution, yeah, that's fine. However, if you want to bring in your own kind of pencil, that's fine as well. We're all friends here. I'm not, I'm not, I'm not your art lecturer. You're, but you're definitely going to need a ruler and an eraser just in case you're making quite a bit of errors, just like how I just did. So, for this part, this is, oh my god. You know what? Just roll with it. Just roll with it. I don't know how to. I don't know how to measure my own measurements. Oh my god. Yeah, the aspect ratio is so off. I should just do. I should just erase this. Should I? Should I? Yeah. Yeah, I should just erase this. Oh man. So essentially, what kind of rulers do you need? I don't know. As long as it's sufficiently long. But if you want something to the exact measure, I it's a 12-inch long ruler, and if you're using imperial, it's 30 centimeters. So yeah. So how long is this measurement here? So about 6.5 centimeters. So 6.5 centimeters. Be this long. So, I don't like measuring stuff. I just like to eyeball things. Of course, when it comes to actually drawing the drawings, of course, I have to be expert. Oh, yeah. By the way, this drawing right here that I've completed is a photocopy of this here drawing. So, yeah. If you notice any discrepancies, then I deeply apologize. I want to be extremely honest with you people. This right here is a copy of this drawing here. So yeah, I'm gonna have to erase some of the things here. Okay, it's a real humid night tonight. Yeah, I wish it's raining, but even if it's raining, it's still going to be really humid. Okay, so now we're gonna come in and we're gonna draw Princess Diana. So what's it gonna be? Where are we going to start first? So I have a few announcements here to make. To make. Uh, no, I'm not gonna take any vacations. Not right now. No, I've taken way too many vacations already. But I do have something new in mind. I've been thinking about creating some kind of variation of content. So a vast majority of my channel's content has been shorts and this long live stream. So I want to ask you guys if you'd be interested in me creating a story time video. Yeah, kind of like it will be very similar in like structure to the ways that other channels like say Jaden Animations have done it over the years. They're talking about little anecdotes about their life experiences and everything. But the main difference is that I'm not an animator, so I don't know how I'm going to make it work in terms of in the context of my channel. So I'm currently shading in on the eyes. If you think i- if you find this level of like contrast to be kind of weird, it's because I'm pressing it really really hard and I'm using a really good over-engineered pencil. Therefore, it looks so easy and maneuverable. But if this is like earlier on in my career, this is going to be more more of a favorite. So I'm shading in some eyes. So maybe some for eyelids. Go in there. So yeah, that's about right. Alright, so that's good. And then I'm shading in her nose. Yes, this is her nose. I like to keep the nose rather simple, just a little blotch like that. And we can add this. Okay, this part right here is going to be a bit smoother. Actually, I don't know which one is the copy and which one's the is the original drawing. My God, this is going to be a copy of a copy of a copy. So this part right here. Oh yeah, by the way, this is I don't know what perspective this is. I think this is a 2-point perspective. I don't know, man. I just draw it. That's really my motto in life. I saw something and I just draw it. No rhyme, no reason, just do it. And that's how I fell ass backwards into this. I'm pretty sure if I ever joined a contest with people like Jazza and Victoria Kagalovska, I'd lose that match, and I'd lose that in such a mess, in such an embarrassing manner. I will be gracious enough to be like, oh yeah, good game, bruh. But yeah, there's no way I'm gonna win against them. They're simply operating on a different level than I am. Yeah, I look like competent in art, but I'm pretty sure people who actually practice art is going to be like, what the fuck is this? Like I said, I'm just a hobbyist. I'm a rather competent hobbyist, but a hobbyist nonetheless. This is the lips. Alright. And then I'm gonna have a bit of it right there. Right. Hmm. So that goes about right. Okay, and then these are I don't know exactly what possessed me into drawing Princess Diana. Actually, I know what possessed me into drawing Princess Diana. Initially, this video is going to be me drawing um, Maggie Riley. I love her songs. I love Moonlight Shadows, and I love Tears in the Rain, especially Tears in the Rain. But yeah, the drawing that I picked, the picture that I picked of hers to draw is like really challenging, and I don't think it will be done by Monday even. And I make my videos and I premiere my videos on Sundays, so I'm kind of in a bit of a loss here. So who else have I drawn? So who else? I look at who else have I drawn that I knew I can do right on do right and have it a bit easier on me. And so I decided on Princess Diana. I find her really fascinating. The life she led and her tragic end is just so oh man, you know. So what I'm doing right now is that I'm coloring in some parts of her hair here. She's got really thick, bushy hair, almost similar to that of Dana Scully's in the early seasons of the X-Files. I'm not talking about the later seasons. Like that hair is positively the 80s, and then Scully's hair came out, and then Scully's hair was in the X-Files, and that was like the last gasps of the 80s trying to die. 80s hairstyles are just weird. Like you can either look like really well endowed with how thick your hair is, but at the same time, if you're not careful, you could look like a bunch of um, hobos, barely well kempt hobos. And this is coming from a stupid millennial, so yeah. So considering that I've done this for almost 2 months now, I suppose I should go ahead and reveal little bits of personal info of myself. Just a little bit. I'm not gonna go full on Chris Chan on this. Yeah, I'm not gonna overshare, but you know, I am gonna I am gonna overshare a bit, but not like where I live or anything like that. But yeah, I have some like personal experiences that I would like to tell you. But I don't know where else to put, but on this on this program. So buckle up. So I don't know if I've mentioned this in previous videos, but uh, I was actually riddled with diseases. um, I have I was diagnosed with diabetes, yeah, and I'm currently living with it. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story behind, you know, some of the struggles that I've been facing because I felt like apart from this YouTuber named Lena, I don't think you know and anybody really have any clue of like how horribly challenging it is to maintain a good blood sugar reading. So a little bit of a backstory. My family, especially on my mother's side, definitely had a story, had a history with with diabetes, and then my father's side had a history with liver diseases, and together they combined together they merged into this unholy um, union called you know abscess of the liver, like a diabetic triggered abscess of the liver. I was diagnosed with that in 2020, right around the time where you know where COVID is starting to rear its ugly head and begins to hog up all of the resources at the hospital. So while everybody else is dealing with COVID, I'm dealing with this. Classic me, I refuse to be left out of this whole disease thing. I have to be at the forefront of my family of getting the disease. I still remember back when the swine flu is going about. And I was one of the first people in my family to be suspected of having the swine flu. I ended up not having it, but I was suspected and I was quarantined. So that was fun. And then fast forward um, to 2020. I believe this is around July. I finally got home from. I finally returned home. I returned from my college, and I was studying in college at the time, and I was dealing with a lot of stress. And I thought my coughing fits a cause of were like caused by stress or anything like that. So I ended up downing a bunch of, you know, a bunch of, what do you call that? Cough syrups. Yeah. To the point where I could tell you if I'm taking, cough syrups, what brand I'm taking of cough syrups. I could tell the kind of flavor profile of cough syrups. Like, if I'm taking Woods cut cough syrups, I'd say it tastes a bit like artificial honey. Like somebody putting like a artificial flavor into your into cereals and stuff. Yeah, I could tell that was Woods. And then there are some that's more sweet than it was, you know, it was more sweet than it does chemically. And then I can tell you that, okay, some of them were salty. I told you, I can tell you the taste profile of a cough syrup, considering how much I wolf it down. And then I was going through an apprenticeship at the time. I was going through an apprenticeship, a teacher's apprenticeship at the time, and a lot of a lot of my colleagues at the school were like, "Dude, you look pale and sickly. Are you okay?" I was like, "I don't know if I'm okay. Yeah, I think I'm still strong enough to handle this kind of workload." So I was doing this, and then all of a sudden, I felt like I was about to faint. I felt really, really, really tipsy and uh, felt really tipsy, and and then I started throwing up. It was horrible, and I'm telling my mom, I really cannot do this. I don't feel well. I don't feel, you know, particularly good. And so, being concerned for my health, I was told by my mom to go there. This is the second time I have to go to the hospital, by the way. The first time I had to go to the hospital is for the medical checkup. It's a mandatory medical checkup where you to go through, you know, anything remote. If you want to go through, you know, anything even remotely close to getting yourself into this, apprenticeship. So this is my second rodeo at the hospital. And the first time I was there, I was immediately diagnosed with diabetes, like type 2 diabetes. And then I was pretty much, I was pretty much warded there uh, for almost the whole night. I think I got out of there by 11 p.m. And then after that, I just had to go ahead, relax, and I don't think I ever had to go to the emergency room again. How wrong I was. No less than 2 weeks after the fact, um, I was beginning to show some illness, some some sort of sickness. If it's not COVID, even back then I'm pretty certain it's not COVID. So then my mom was like, "Okay, after you do your apprenticeship, and all that, because you can't skip a day during your apprenticeship. If you miss a day, then you have to replace it." That was my main concern, and and in retrospect, that's a stupid concern to be having, because I ended up missing the apprenticeship either way. I have to take the apprenticeship at a later date. So we went there, and my mom took me to the hospital. And what ended up happening was that I was so tired and so haggard and so tipsy from the from that point on that I could barely pass the gate. I felt really ill. I don't know what's wrong with me, but that feeling is tormenting. And my mom kept telling me, you gotta walk, you gotta walk. I was like, I can't, Mom, I can't force myself to do this. It's just something. And I was like, don't you dare faint on me. Look at you, you're so heavy. And it's like, okay. So I got in and they checked my blood sugar, and my blood sugar is in the 20s. My blood sugar is in the 20s, and my temperature is nearing 40 degrees Celsius. So it's clear something is wrong with me, but they have no idea what. So I was immediately brought into the ER, and then I was subsequently taken into the ambulance. Thankfully, the ambulance service in Malaysia is free. Thankfully, and I was subsequently warded there for almost, a month. I think it's not almost a month. I think it's almost 2 months. I didn't have the records with me anymore for obvious reasons. I was essentially warded there, and I ended up missing my apprenticeship anyway. So yeah, I ended up using that time to just relax and be wax lyrical about misery. It was horrible. It was really horrible. I want I want to get further into details about what I had to endure, but um, it's going to include some pretty unsavory language that's probably going to get this video demonetized. So not that I have enough followers to get it monetized to some extent, but you know, I don't want it to get so unsavory and horrible that um, I ended up like making people turn off this video and not wanting to join me on this drawing journey. Because hey, we're here to have fun and just have a little bit of a small talk. And like I said before, this channel is kind of like mukbangs for drawings. But I will get into some emotionally raw stuff every once in a while. I just have to get some things off my chest regarding condition. So now that I set up the now that I set up everything that I needed to set up, uh, I'm going to tell you a little story about hy- hypoglycemic attacks. Oh my god. Okay, so when it comes to hypoglycemic attacks, I am not a stranger to it. Sure, I didn't. It's not frequent in my case. Not to the extent of my mother having to deal with hypoglycemia, but I've had my fair share. Enough to the point where, I sympathize with you for having to deal with this, you know, crap. So, what's hypoglycemia? That's a good question. So, essentially, hypoglycemia is when the blood sugar is lower than the standard. The standard, I believe, is 4.0, and anything lower than that is considered hypoglycemic. This is rather this is a rather dangerous predicament to be in because you have no idea what's going to happen to you if you have a hypoglycemic attack. Um, you can faint because, again, low blood sugar, and that usually entails that you haven't eaten very well. Yeah, yeah, you haven't eaten very well. You've skipped meals and everything, and yeah, you take way too much of the medication. The medication dosage is perhaps a bit too high for your own good. But yeah, in the 3 years that I was diagnosed with diabetes, I've gone through at least 4 episodes of uh, hypoglycemia, and all of them were unsavory. I hated having hypoglycemic attacks. Again, I'm not half as prolific in this regard as, say, my mom, but I do have enough of an experience to know that, oh no. So the first time this occurred, obviously, was during my early, you know, during the early stages of my living with this disease. I'm still grappling with the fact that, okay, this is something that I have to live with, and now that I have all the medication that I needed, I don't have to deal with bullshit, right? Right? No. So I'm not gonna tell you the first times that happened there because, again, I'm still trying to figure things out and all that kind of stuff. But what I don't understand is when you are 100% certain you've had enough food and the blood sugar that you take was more than good enough, and then in the middle of the night you get those attacks. Those are the attacks that I just don't get. Okay, so one of the symptoms of hypoglycemia was a feeling of dizziness, which I have, followed by maybe feelings of vertigo, which I get, And the feeling of vertigo depends on where you are. So, say if you are lying on the bed, right? You were sleeping, and then those hunger pangs started to hit. It hits different, and that feeling of dread starts creeping into your the core of your very soul. You know, at first you start sweating, and it's a weird kind of sensation because I don't know what it is about hyperglycemia that makes everything feel so inverted. So usually, if you have sweat, you feel cold sweats, right? Yeah, feel cold sweat. Sweat is supposed to like make you feel like you're cooling down and all that kind of stuff. So that's what's supposed to be, right? Wrong. So what happened when you kept sweating, at least in my experience, was that everything felt a bit warmer. Not colder, warmer. Everything felt warmer. I felt like sometimes I feel like I was doused in gallons upon gallons of warm water before I could wake up. And then when you wake up, if you're like, if you're awake when that happens, when you're in the toilet and that thing happens, I'd say, okay, at the very least, I'm on firm ground. I have nothing to fear because I'm on firm ground and I can sit on the toilet and I can just collect myself for a bit and sometimes you just have to like claw your way to the top and find the strength necessary to tackle this situation, head to the fridge and then drink, and then you begin to like have like pieces of chocolate and all that good stuff. If that happens to you, that's cool. What happens if you're in the bed if you're in your bedroom and that happens? I'm telling you there's nothing short of actually, you know, passing away is going to ever match that feeling of dread that you feel when that hypoglycemic attack is going to happen. Nothing. First, everything felt like a dull narcotic haze, and then you start feeling a bit weird and queasy, as if something is trying to drag your soul out of your body. Okay, and then you start having that sweat, but it's not cold sweat; it's a warm sweat, and you're feeling like you're drenched in it. And then, the moment you open your eyes and you start figuring out what exactly is going on, the dizzy pangs came along, and then and then you start to feel like you were being swallowed by your own bed. You know, no firm grasp of reality. As far as you know, you're in the afterlife, and some demon is drowning you and stuff. As far as you know, because again, you just waken, you just you've woken up, and then you start to get this feeling like, hey, good morning, bomb. Hey, good morning. Here's a slap to the face, you piece of shit. And then the reality starts dawning on you. Oh God, I'm having a hypoglycemic attack. And the thing is, You feel dizzy, you feel tipsy, and sometimes when you want to wake up, you just cannot. You just cannot. No matter how much you try, you just cannot. And then because you literally felt queasy, and it's a different kind of queasy. And then anxiety starts setting in. Like, my God, what is this reality that I'm in? Am I in my room? What is this? Dang, everything is hazy. Everything is spinning. Everything, everything. It seems like is conspiring against you. And then once you get enough of your sanity to go about and get things done, you find out that you have no chocolate. That's what happened to me a couple of days ago. It was rough. So what ended up happening was that I literally begged one of my roommates. I call my roommate Connie because here's a bit of a lore deep dive here. Um, Gillian Anderson had a friend named Connie, and yeah, that's who I'm named my roommate after. Uh, my roommate is actually male, but I call him my Connie because it's kind of a term of endearment. But anyway, he was actually at his studio, you know, banging away at stuff. And then I'm like, dude, can you help me out, man? When are you returning? And he's about to return home anyway. So I'm like, okay, fine, that's good. Can you bring me some chocolate, something, anything, please? And he graciously said, yeah, okay. Um, but I will be here for a bit. But I will be stuck in traffic for a bit because there's a massive. Uh, it's currently rush hour right now, so I can't exactly guarantee you what time I'm gonna return. I don't, and I'm just like, I don't care what time you get home, as long as you get home, and as long as you give me my chocolate ice cream. That's nice. I said to him, chocolate ice cream. I want chocolate ice cream. So he ended up purchasing me some chocolate, pieces of chocolate, and I'm not complaining. He's smart. He if he bought me the chocolate ice cream that I also desire, he would have to rush to the house, and he might have gone gotten himself into an accident. And I would be like, oh my God, what have I done? But he didn't because he's smart. So he bought me some Capri uh, chocolate bars, and I ended up having that, and it's nice. And it's nice. And then I laid in bed for about 20 minutes, just regaining my sanity, and I went out and had dinner. Because I swear to Christ, I checked my blood sugar at the time after I ate, you know, after afternoon tea, and I had myself some dosai or dosa or whatever the hell you call it, with some parupo, which is a dal curry. It was fine. It was at a 7.3. It was fine. What ended up happening? I had no idea. I was busy sleeping, just exhausted from working on this thing that I'm working on. And all of a sudden, while I'm sleeping, bam! Just bam! I know I haven't had dinner, but you don't have to attack me like that, Mr. Hypoglycemia. Come on. So I ended up regaining some of my strength and I just go to a restaurant. And I look like complete utter garbage. Because, like I said, I was dri- dripping in sweat. And I tried to cool down a bit. And I'd taken a shower. And after that, I just went to the restaurant, pretend like nothing ever happened. I barely, you know, dry myself. And so I just finished eating. My poor Connie, he had to deal with so much of my bullshit. Oh, yeah, so for this part of the drawing, this is going to be the drawing with the high contrast, uh, background. So this part right here will be dark, and then I'm going to add a little bit of like splotches right there to have like a variation of light and dark. And then this will be just a simple stroke line. Not a stroke line, but you know what I'm talking about, right? It's going to be stroking in gray. The background is going to be gray. So that's essentially the story of how much I hated through having going through the some hypoglycemia cases. It was horrible. It was completely and utterly horrible. You know. Then you go ahead and this entire part right here is going to be dark, and then we're gonna do kind of like a sine wave on this part right here. So this part will be gray and this part will be black. So that's essentially what I'm trying to get at here. So I'll tell you why why it's necessary to make that kind of distinction. Because we're trying to make the side of Diana's face be really distinct and very, very, very poppy. You know, I want it to pop. I don't know exactly how Diana's facial side is going to look like in if the background is gray, but that's why we're here to find out, eh? Part of the magic of drawing is, the experiment. You really have to go all in with some of your ideas, and mo- 9 times out of 10, I assume I would fail. And you know what? I can afford to fail. I'm not a studio. I can afford to fail. No worries. With that being said, I think I overdid the shading here. Alright, so now that we're talking something resembling about the royal family, I want to talk a bit about, you know, some interesting tidbits about the crown. Okay, so in the crown, Olivia Colman played, you know, Queen Elizabeth, right? Okay. Or at least somebody in the royal family. And in the crown, Margaret Thatcher, the Crown TV show, or rather the Netflix series, was portrayed by Gillian Anderson, right? Okay. So I'm getting to a punchline here. So there's another Margaret Thatcher oriented piece of media called The Iron Lady, starring Meryl Streep, right? Right. So you know that, right? Okay. Funny thing is, Olivia Colman played Margaret Thatcher's daughter in The Iron Lady. So to a certain extent, she got to meet with her mother again on the crown. you know, and I I started making this joke at on over on Discord with Nugget. I was like, okay, so you know what would be the funniest thing ever? If they make another movie about the royal family in the 70s, and they cast Olivia Colman as Margaret Thatcher, and then they cast Gillian Anderson as Queen Elizabeth II. That would be the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was, oh man, pure comedy. No, the movie itself doesn't have to be a comedy. You just have to take it really seriously. But we can go ahead and make stupid jokes at Gillian Anderson and Olivia Colman's expense. So even when we're not drawing Gillian Anderson, somehow the conversation drags back to Gillian Anderson. Never underestimate my ability to bullshit. Oh yeah, by the way, a friend of ours here is sending his regard. Hi there. Hi, Dildo. So this is Braun, Studio Series Braun. I love this guy. He's my ultimate, table side trinket. He is so fun to handle. It's almost distracting. Anyway, eh, I know this might be an exercise in futility, but what what is the name of that movie slash series that Kristen Chenoweth and Gillian Anderson was in? I have no idea what that movie is. So yeah. Funny thing is, I think this is going to take longer than this drawing here. This is going to take a bit longer than expected. It's okay. It's not like I have time restraint or something. All we have is time. That is such a pretentious clip trip. Sometimes I do think if, you know, this drawing process is only exciting for me and for me only. That's why I decided to like upload the schematics of the drawings in both the comment and this and the video description section so that you can join in on the fun. And this is going to be kind of like mukbangs but with drawings, but you don't actually have to spend $300 on cheese to do this. I think a I might be addicted to drawing. Because here's the thing, over the over the past week, I was part of like my nation's Independence Day challenge, and the challenge is that we have to draw things that are patriotic. So naturally, we decided to draw, or at least I decided to draw all of the prime ministers that we had so far. Look for like a political statement or anything like that. It's just a celebration of all the prime ministers that we had. On top of that, I somehow got the energy to draw this lady again. So maybe by the end of the week, maybe I. Plus, I'm currently going through the last stages of my college life. So yeah, to say that I am a bit like I have my plate is a bit full at the moment is kind of a misnomer. It's kind of an understatement, really. And plus, I'm currently studying the Gillian Anderson Year of Tears photo with every intention in my body to draw that. Plus, I'm looking at drawing Cecil B. DeMille's young photo. Plus, I'm currently planning on drawing Piram Lee. Plus, I'm currently planning on drawing, you know, some Malay scholars. And yeah, I got a lot on my plate right now. I don't know if I'm going to survive this intact, but sorry if I was a bit silent throughout this video. Um, but the thing is, I haven't watched all of X Files season 2. So, had I watched all of X Files season 2, I would have been really noisy about my feelings on that show. I've seen, at this point, I've seen Colony. I haven't seen Dot Com, and I haven't seen Endgame. So, yeah. On top of that, I'm starting to flirt with the idea that I want to watch the First Lady. Uh, with of course Gillian Anderson is in it, but there's also Michelle Pfeiffer. There's also Michelle Pfeiffer and Viola Davis. So I don't know exactly how I'm gonna divide the time here. Hmm. This is that's one of the main gripes I had with Gillian Anderson. Uh, with Gillian Anderson's career. Why couldn't she be in more movies? Why? But it's definitely a me thing. It's just I don't blame Gillian for that. It's just that why wasn't she in more movies where she's a main character? House of Mirth is just downright amazing. I'm not reviewing that movie right now because oh fucking hell, that movie. That movie is like, oh man. I'm not talking about that movie yet. I don't have the mental fortitude for that. But it is amazing. If Gillian Anderson was nominated for an Oscar for that movie, I would be like, yep, she deserves it. But she wasn't even nominated, so fuck you, Oscars. Pretty sure no matter what, she'd lose to Julia Roberts and for Erin Brockovich. Which to me is still the Oscars equivalent to highway robbery. By all means, Ellen Burstyn should have won that Oscars, but nah, no, we'll give it to Erin Brockovich. Because here's the thing, she was nominated for an Oscar for Requiem for a Dream, and the Oscar voters made a stupid rule in which they stated, I don't know if Ellen Burstyn's words can be trusted or anything, but yeah, but according to Ellen Burstyn, one of the prerequisites for you to get even an inkling of a chance of winning an Oscar is for you to have like a teenage audience member to vote for you enough to be aware of your performance enough for you to essentially win an Oscar. They're telling that to the actors of Requiem for a Dream, a movie that I think even most adults were like, God, this is intense. That movie was too intense even for adults. Can you imagine teenagers watching that? That's just a stupid rule. So of course, Erin Brockovich ended up winning the Best Actress. Piece of shit movie. I hated that movie. It's so dull and lifeless. It's just ugh. The real Erin Brockovich is freaking interesting. She's kind of feisty, and just ugh, kind of bitchy. And if Gillian Anderson played that role, I would be like, yeah, that's the perfect Erin Brockovich right there. No, she had to go. They had to go with America's Sweetheart, uh, Julia Roberts. I feel like that the way Julia Roberts portrayed that role kind of lacks the no nonsense guffaw that Gillian could imbue in that role. Like she's still good. She's still you know very approachable and everything, but don't cross her path because she will get pissed off. At least that's the impression I get from reading about the real Erin Brockovich. Your interpretation might be different. So I'm nearly there. I'm almost done with it. Again, this is just a simple 2B high polymer lead. Nothing fancy. It's just something that you can buy at your local stationaries. God help us the day that I got good enough at charcoals. Uh, and of course, one of the main reasons why I decided to shade in the big splotch first is because, again, if you dull your lids enough, it's going to create kind of like an incline, and you can use that incline to shade, and it wouldn't go overboard with it. It's gonna maintain a nice, smooth texture as it glides on the paper. I don't know how to teach you how to shade though. I could just go ahead and be obtuse about it and say, "Oh, don't shade so hard," and don't press on the pencil too hard and all that kind of stuff. It's easier to say, but there's a big but. It's such a rather obscure concept that anything you say about it is just going to be held against you. You know, you shouldn't go too hard. So, what exactly constitutes as going too hard? Well, here's the thing: if you shade this, I don't know if you can see this, but if you were shading something and you were able to make this shading look like this, like so, then you're not you're shading. Then you're shading is on point. If you're attempting to do soft shading, but you just press so hard on it, that it's ended up looking like this, then you're doing it wrong. But again, that was a much easier thing to say rather than to do. All I'm all I can say is that don't press on it too hard, and that's why, like I said before, there's always room for mistakes in this. Don't punish yourself over making such a mistake. This is not a game of talent, this is a game of familiarizing yourself. I'm not exactly expecting a first grader to go ahead and you know, be able to read Shakespeare. That's just not realistic. But people who knew better but still make those mistakes, then I'm going to hold you in a much harsher light. Because again, you should know better. That's ultimately the kind of thing that I'm trying to strike a balance with. Because again, I'm a prospective teacher. I have to understand that not all students are born gifted. Sometimes it really is the best that the student can give you. Same goes with art. Sometimes with your current skill set, the that's literally the best that you can do there. No need to argue with yourself over, oh no, I failed. For example, if you failed at drawing Gillian Anderson, don't don't punish yourself for it. You're not good at it. You still have years You still have years ahead of yourself to be better at drawing. You still have years. You know, go ahead, keep on making mistakes. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. I don't know why it is that, you know, people are afraid of making mistakes. Keep making them. You think I'd be able to be where I'm at now if I don't make mistakes? Of course, you shouldn't really, you know, punish yourself over skills that you just don't have yet. I'm not being condescending. That's literally the truth. I've seen a lot of people who are like, how could I call myself be a fan of Princess Diana if I didn't get her drawing right? No, you're missing the point. The point is that you're that's literally the best that you can do right now. You know? Don't punish yourself. There's still room for error. You can still get better at it. But of course, when you do get better at it, make it, try to be consistent to your skills. I'm going to hold you much harsher to that, but at the end of the day, again, that might be the best that you can achieve on that particular day because your mindset isn't exactly on drawing, so that's the best that you can do. Again, I'm not being condescending. Hindsight is 2020. And sometimes in the middle of doing things, you don't know what you did wrong. Again, what am I doing right now? I'm shading, right? I'm shading at a rather fast speed. I'm not expecting you to be able to keep up with how I shade. Because again, with your current skill sets, that might just be the worst thing that you can do to yourself. Because we're simply not really on the same level. But, you are welcome to attempt to do this. Make mistakes. This is the one place in your life where you can make mistakes and you can develop some sort of critical thinking. And you don't have to lose hundreds upon millions of dollars, trying to fix that mistake. Okay. You're going in. You're going in real hard on this. Princess Diana is rather tricky to draw, because she uh, she was. I want her to look seasoned, but I don't want her to look like old either. So yeah, that's how you can do the background on one aspect of Princess Diana. This is the one kind of background you can do for a drawing like hers. Let's move on to the second drawing. This shouldn't take long. The only thing that's going to take up some semblance of time is going to be figuring out where and how we're going to shape Princess Di's hair. I think we'll go with this, although I think we went a bit too far with this. So let's try to be a bit fair with it. I went a bit too far with this. So what I want to do is take this from here. It's a bit too thick for me, I think. It's borderline. It's a borderline Margaret Thatcher hair. I just did just now. So this is where we're gonna start doing it. So add a few tweaks. So that. I hope you guys are doing fine with this. So the copy was, I don't think the copy of the drawing that I included there shows you how I do the hair. So you see this part right here? Take, this is the marriage point, and then you try follow along the stream right here, and then you go ahead to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so you go to the 10th fold right there, this 10th fold, and then you just follow the parabola. It looks, it sounds fancy, but it's not. It's just something that, again, after doing this for quite a while, you just got kind of used to like improvising your way through it. Because again, her hair is nice and poofy. This isn't gonna take a lot of work in comparison to this. In comparison to this, it's still a lot of work, not as much. Okay. So let's our hair done. Now we can go and shade in the background. Again, same trick as before. This area right here shouldn't be. You use the incline of the lead to shade. It shouldn't take a lot of time. So try to be gentle enough with every single stroke that you have. Like so. And go ahead and use it to your advantage. Again, if you feel like your lead wasn't sharp enough yet, you can always take the time to look at any details that you may have missed, and then go and go and go in. So, again, I'm 100% certain this is not how Princess Diana's hair looked like, or at least like 100% accurate, but it's enough of an interpretation. And it's one of those things that you can improvise to get yourself out of here, but you do require you know, a lot of expertise to do that. And where does expertise come from? Experience. And how do you do your experience? How do you gain all those experiences? Well, by not being afraid of doing things wrong and improving little things. Maybe someday I'll learn how to play a video game, to make these streams more interesting. Or maybe I have to develop like a kind of personality that we can listen to on hours on end. I'm a bit of a worksman, really. I was originally going to use a gray colored pencil for this, but I thought, who the hell owns only a gray colored pencil? So I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna use this mechanical pencil. Why not? That's what a lot of people are mostly going to own anyway. I know a lot of you aren't exactly big art nerds like myself, so that's why I decided, you know what? Just shade using this mechanical pencil. Show them how it could be done. And well, this is exactly what I'm doing right now. Again, you have to be really careful with this. That's the reason why I told you guys to follow the incline, because it's much smoother that way. It had little. If you were careful with how you shade, it had little to no chance of, the shading turning into a mistake. I don't mind uneven streaks in this. I'm pretty sure some art teacher somewhere is gonna be like, "Fuck you! This is wrong." I'm not an art teacher now, am I? So relax, relax, my dude, relax. I'm teaching you how to improvise your way through some troubles. So don't so that some stupid art teacher's not gonna be like up in your face and is like, this is all wrong. I sound as if I'm an art guy. I'm not. I'm a TESOL guy. I'm not teaching English as a second language guy. I pick up art because hobbies. Everybody needs it. I like to create kind of like a hair outline for this. I like to create kind of like a hair outline for this. Oh my god, you guys didn't see that! Ah! Freaking hell! You did. You didn't see how I do that. What's the point? Oh my god! The drawing is this way. The camera is this way. Oh my god! You guys must think that I'm just bullshit my way through this. So essentially, what I did was that I went like this. Just follow the parabola. And boom, 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 boom. Like that. I wish you could see how I did the hair outline, because my god, that was such a key component of bullshitting your way through trouble. Man. Oh my god. It's a shame you didn't get to see that. My god. God, I feel dumb. Can you guys see it? Oh my god. You guys didn't get to see how I improvised my way through creating hair outline. It's such a shame. Such a shame. Sorry if you heard that. It's just that my tonsils felt a bit itchy. What time is it? Oh, it's 23:19. By the way, I'm recording this video on a Saturday, so the video premieres on Sunday. I'm recording it early because you never know. You never know. I have a lot of free time right now. We're happy there. It really is a shame you didn't get to see how I improvise my way through the hair situation. Shade, shade, shade. I think I may have preferred the high contrast one. Okay. Go further. And you see how, despite my speed, I didn't go to the point where the shading goes from gray to like black. So yeah, those are my these are my Princess Diana drawings. So which background do you prefer? For me, I prefer this. I prefer the high contrast one. This one, it's fine, but I don't know. I'm not. It's just not up to my taste, really. So, wow. It's weird that I feel proud of my own drawings. Oh, wow. Look at it. Oh, wow. So, which background do you prefer? That will be all from me for now. Here, take a good look at Princess Diana, like so. I'm going to upload this video later, and thank you for watching. Yeah, I'm going to make a story time video uh, after the fact, so stay tuned for that. I have a pretty interesting anecdote to tell you. So, yeah. Bye!